Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer. Our guest today is Dr. Mike. Let's get into some really powerful stuff here. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you, Alicia, for having me. I'm excited.
Let's start by talking about your business, what you do. Now, by the time this episode is released, your new book should be just about out or just has come out. And I have a feeling our conversation is largely going to center around what you cover in your book, because that's really your area of expertise. That's your zone of genius. And it is going to be so relevant to everyone listening today. So why don't we start there? Go ahead, give us a little bit of a backstory on you and what you
Yeah.
got going on.
Yeah, I agree, Alicia. Everybody's going to benefit from this book. I'm really excited about it. It's my book number 8, but all the others were strictly focused on health. And this has a lot more to do with being successful, being in the zone, and, living or performing at your highest potential. I came here in 1997 by myself, $400 a backpack and a jeans. And so I learned over the years. My motto quickly became basically I never lose, I win or I learn, because I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have a guide. And so many times I obviously got knocked down, had to get back up. So I think looking back and with my experience now, what I want to do and what I'm doing today is mentoring people, not just on health. Health is a big part of it because I'm considered a biohacking expert, which means objectively reversing your biological age and becoming superhuman. And we can do that with the body and the mind. But also for entrepreneurs and people that are afflicted with mental conditions or other kind of diseases. I really think that I can be a mentor to people, the mentor that I didn't have, to show pitfalls, to show them the road to success, to make sure they have a purpose in life, they control their life, they have a plan, they have a strategy, that we can overcome the obstacles and that we can really perform at the highest potential. So that's what the book is about, and I'm really excited to help lots of people achieve their dreams.
Let's start with the first critical piece, finding your potential. I'm talking about this a little bit in my own book that's coming
Very
out around
good.
the same time
Yeah.
as yours. This is going to be a fun conversation because it's an innate drive within human beings to reach for a sense of meaning, to reach for that feeling of purpose, of fulfillment in life. And so many people feel like they're floundering. They are either grabbing for something that looks nice, but doesn't feel really authentic, or they're stuck in so many self-imposed limiting beliefs about their potential and what's possible that they don't even allow themselves to explore what their own inner desires are just consistently, whispering quietly, in the back part of their mind. So what is your approach to
Yeah,
identifying
and I
your
mean
purpose?
you hit the hammer right on the nail there. And especially I've observed personally during the pandemic, but also doing many podcasts and talking to people, there's so much anxiety, depression, fear, worry, uncertainty in people. And yes, there's therapies, and yes, there's drugs, right, to mask symptoms. But what people don't do is look one step further. Why are people depressed and have no purpose? And why can't they produce or finish their homework or finish a project? Why can't they focus? And there's a few reasons. Number one, they don't have a purpose in life. Like you said, they didn't figure it out yet, but they don't even realize they need a purpose in life because, many times we're conditioned from the day we're born, right? Society says we got to go to school, then we got to go to college, then we got to work for somebody till we're 65, then we got to buy an RV and drive around. And luckily hopefully we can do that if we didn't have our first stroke yet. So, right. So that's one part. The other part is our parents or our teachers, because, if dad's a lawyer, he probably wants you to go to law school. His mom's a doctor. They want you to go to med school, and your teachers tell you, you better go to school so you can provide for your family. But nobody's asking you, what do you want? Right. And people are not thinking about it. What is it that wakes up some fire in their stomach? What are they passionate about? And many times people choose the money rounds, but I continue to tell people, if you're passionate about something, no matter what it is, the money will follow, because if you're passionate about it, you're going to be great at it. You're going to really, perform, and you're going to be the best at what you're doing. And when you're the best at what you're doing, no matter what it is, even if it's music or arts or anything that people always say can't make money, you will be a millionaire, because when you're passionate and when you follow a certain strategy and a plan, you will be successful. So don't worry about the money, worry about what is your passion. And so in my book, I actually have a 3-step exercise that helps people identify really what their purpose in life is. Because often we think our purpose is based on our credentials, which often is not true, and is based on, what can we provide people. But often that's not your purpose in life. Your purpose in life may be much, much bigger than that. And so in my book, I have a 3-step exercise that really helps people identify or confirm their purpose in life, because obviously your purpose in life will set the stage for everything else. And if you have the wrong purpose and you're not passionate about it, you'll never, ever will perform at your highest potential.
When people are grabbing a hold of something, and you hear this advice, right? If you don't know what you want, just start with something. Just grab anything and sort of, take a run at it, see what happens. And, you can always pivot, which in some cases is good advice. If somebody needs to start to actually get out of inaction and stagnation, well, any energy flowing is going to actually start to, shake things up. But so many people are trying to be, quote, successful at something that isn't fulfilling, they're not passionate about. And, business is not an easy thing. If it were,
then everybody
all of these entrepreneurs that are coming into, these new businesses would be thriving, and that's just not the reality. So we're encountering a tremendous amount of internal and external resistance as we're sort of charting this new territory. And if you're not really passionate about what you're doing, there are so many opportunities for you to say, it's not fucking worth it.
That's right.
And then you develop those further conflicting beliefs that I can't do it, I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes. And so now you are sliding further back down the hill instead of, making your way up to the promised land. When someone has identified their purpose, though, maybe it is not a fully actualized success in their mind, but they know in their heart that they're on the right path. I want to talk a little bit now about the second step, right? Having the strategy, the plan, because that's where a lot of people get tripped up also. Maybe they know what they love, but they're floundering in the other respect where I don't know what to do with this.
Yes.
So what is your advice on that?
Yeah, I developed and trademarked the IZOD method. IZOD stands for in the zone on demand, because we all have been in the zone, but usually by, at random, or by, how do you say it? Just because it happened and we experienced it. But, top entrepreneurs, top athletes, they can be in the zone on demand and they can produce and they win, right? So my method really shows people on how they can win on demand, how they can bring their A game and crush their competition, whether that's again in sales, or whether you want to crush that perfect presentation in front of 5,000 people, or, design that perfect piece of art, or write the music, or just be in optimal health, or find inner peace. It does not matter, but only when you're in the zone can you produce and you win. Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, if you know basketball, were the perfect examples, because they never had an off game. They always were in the zone, while many of their other players, they got good days and bad days. So it's not that their strength or their skills or their talent diminished from one day to the next. It's because in between their ears, they were distracted by whatever happened that day. And so they were a half second late, they missed the ball, they did this, they did this. And so that's always the difference between winning and losing, and not just in sports. So in the IZOD method, we first, like we just discussed, identify your purpose of life and make sure it's the correct one. But then we really need a plan and strategy. And most people don't know how to do that, and they overthink, and they always think we need all the details, and we don't. We only need the what in a business template. We don't need the how-tos, and we don't need the deadlines. That when you go, in front of investor, they just want to have a plan. They want to see a plan, but it doesn't have to be how-to. We'll get to the how-tos as we move along that plan. It's the what in the plan. So we need a plan, we need a strategy. And what I think is overlooked many times is we need to really identify the people. And initially, those are just titles, and then we'll put some names on that. But we need some people that we need to succeed and to get to our highest potential. And often people say you need to work on your weaknesses, and I disagree with that. I think we all have strengths. We need to identify those, and we need to continue to working on our strengths so we are unique in that department. And what I do is I surround myself with people that are strong in my weaknesses. And so that's the team of experts that we need. Is we need to complete ourselves, but we don't need to start working our weaknesses. It's a waste of time, and we will never excel in our weakness where other people are already strong. So that's part of the plan strategy. And then I think everybody, and that's what I was missing, really needs a coach or a mentor. And I can help anybody, whether it's with health, business, or personal life, because I would give them accountability on a weekly basis, make sure they get the things done. And we need to go with incremental steps, and we need to implement many what I call IZOD strategies. And those are usually custom, because people are wasting, as you mentioned, a lot of time on projects that don't fit their dreams or their goals. So we got to identify, what are you doing that doesn't contribute to your goals and dreams? Because we have a difficult time saying no to projects, saying no to friends, saying no to our boss and things like that. And we engage in so many things that do not contribute to our life. So we need to free up valuable time. Then we need to put tips and strategies in place, making appointments with yourself, being productive, assigning certain workplaces, having a calendar, not a to-do list, a calendar that really controls our life. Because when we start controlling our life, we create clarity. And we have clarity, there is no fear, there is no worry, there is no stress, there is no ADHD, there is no procrastination, there's nothing. So I teach people to get control of their calendar, and therefore control of their life. And once we have all those things in place, obstacles just become opportunities. And I always say it's like the 110 meters hurdles. Those guys know where the finish line is, and they attack the hurdles. And once you know your purpose, you got your plan, you got your strategy, you want to see that obstacle coming, because you're just one step closer to your dream and to your goals and being successful. So now it's not like throwing your hands in the air, oh my God, another obstacle, oh, I can't do this, oh, it's not meant to be. Because we have that fire, we have that passion, we have a plan, we have a mentor, a coach, and we're going to attack those obstacles and make them opportunities and stepstones. Because a lot of people also, they set their goals are too big, and then they become they become overwhelmed. And it's all about those small incremental steps that we implement each and every day, and they accumulate fast. So we make big strides pretty quickly by taking those small incremental steps. And that's what I think we need, is a plan, but also a coach, a mentor, showing the pitfalls, taking those steps and getting organized, getting in control of our calendar, our workday, and our life. And I stick with them until they reach their goals,
So there was a lot of gold in there, and people are probably going to have to re-listen to this episode to pick up on a lot of those little pieces that are truly success principles. Now, I could easily go off on a tangent on probably any number of different things that you just shared, but I want to make sure that we're able to get through all of your pillars. So let's get into the biohacking.
Yes. So pillar one, purpose of life and getting control. Number two, the plan and the strategy, the team of experts. Number three, biohacking. Biohacking literally means reversing your biological age objectively. But a lot of people are not ready to biohack because in my health mentoring and coaching, I have three phases. Number one, and unfortunately, most people fall in the first step. We need to regain control of our health. If you're in pain, if you are diagnosed with some type of disease, we need to eradicate that pain. We need to get rid of that disease and get, quote unquote, back to normal. Step number two, once we're back to normal, we need to optimize our health. We need to incorporate lifestyle modifications so that you can be strong and vital again, and that you're in control of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And only when you're in optimal health, better, we can take advantage of the biohacking strategies to really reverse your biological age. And so the reason why that's the third part of my IZOD strategy is because no matter what you do, no matter what business you're in, or whether you're an artist or an entrepreneur or a top athlete, it does not matter. You only can perform at your maximum potential if you're in optimal health. Health always is going to be key, not just your physical body, but also obviously the mind. So it's about upgrading your body and your mind. And I'm an expert in biohacking, or regarded as an expert at least. So I can customize, but also guide you through the right strategies that would help you in a certain phase of where you are right now. We put you in a certain phase, and then we start working towards being in optimal health and then reversing your age, because that's going to give you all the advantage. And when it comes to business and producing, it's about, many times, especially today, it's about focus. It's about getting things done. It's about not procrastinating. It's about not being distracted. And so today it's a huge problem, even more than before. And that's because of the social media. Most of us are what we call in a dopamine overload. We're overstimulated. Dopamine is our reward hormone. It means if the brain squirts a little dopamine, it feels good. It's like getting a pat on the back. So sugar does that, unhealthy diets and energy drinks and all that kind of stuff gives you a little bit of a dopamine. But social media now has caused a dopamine overload, because we want to see people liking our posts. We want to see that comment. We want to see that heart on our Instagram. And so that's why they're addicted to it, because we want to get that squirt of dopamine. But what the dopamine overload does is it unbalances, or it creates an imbalance in our 5 intelligence hormones, which are dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and acetylcholine. And when that happens, when they're out of balance, we get into the brain fog. We can't focus, we can't produce, we're easily distracted, and we can't do anything. And it's a vicious cycle. So what we need to learn is to optimize and balance our 5 intelligence hormones, and that's how we get into the zone. And so there's many tips and strategies, but there's also some nootropics, which are natural supplements, as you will, that really help with the mind. But I stumbled upon one last year that actually addresses the 5 intelligence hormones and really optimizes them and balances them. And that's called Focus Plus by Clarigen Z Health. And so many top athletes and entrepreneurs are now using this to really, get into the zone, basically as a tool or something to help you focus, not being distracted, and get the job at hand done. So for the listeners, you can visit trysmartpill.com and you can get a free sample, because even though I have many great testimonials and it works for me, there's also people it doesn't work for. So there's no better way than just giving it a try and see if it works for you.
I love this. Now, we love simplicity as human beings, don't we? Mm-hmm. We love the shortcut, right? We love That's the pill that we can pop. Right? I actually am a full endorser for supplements. I was an assistant manager at a health food store when I was 18 years old. I went so far down the rabbit hole. I would read, those big thick books that they'd have, on all of the different herbs and vitamins and what they help with and stuff like that. And to this day, all these years later, in my 40s now, we have a whole big area for our supplements. And I think that you're right. You know, a lot of people, it doesn't, not everything works exactly the same for everyone. I want to actually talk just a little bit, though, about the mindset side of clarity, because you did reference that. And of course, as a hypnotherapist, I actually had a colleague one time, because I say, you know, when I'm working, I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
Like my husband is like, I don't know how, you know, our 4-year-old can be in my office, like destroying things. And she's like, how did you not notice she's doing that?
Yes.
Because I can
You're in the
snap
zone.
into that
Nothing
state. I can
distracts you.
get in the
Yes.
zone, right?
Good.
So now those athletes, those top performing athletes, those top performing entrepreneurs, those who are on their A game, they're really embracing both, right? The mental side, the inner game, and the outer game, what they're doing with their physical body. So, what they're putting in their body, you know, as well as rest and exercise and all of those things, taking proper time to work on both the inner and the outer game. I'd love from your perspective to talk a little bit. Maybe we could share some tips or some guidance or some way that people can get pointed in the right direction, because so many people, like you said, they do get overwhelmed. They get overwhelmed by all the details. It's like, oh, I got to do all of those things. Well, that's probably never going to happen. So they
Yeah.
don't even take the first step. So how can we maybe simplify it in a way so people can start to actually take some of those steps forward? Because that potential within all of these individuals is oftentimes just sort of dormant,
Yes.
because they are in brain fog and they are all dopamined up and they're distracted and they're not focused and their mind is pulling them in all of these different directions.
Yes, and just like our body, the mind is a muscle, right? It needs to be trained. And so really in the book too, we really talk about, yes, purpose of life, but then there's your belief system and your morals and your values. And we need to get straight on those. But then the next step is we need to start, to me, the next step is we need to start controlling our emotions and our feelings, right? So when people get frustrated and angry, or they start to worry or fear or uncertain, we really need to start to take control of those by, first of all, identifying that certain situations elicit certain emotions, number one, and then, okay, next time that situation occurs, what are my options? So we need to, before we make decisions, we always have options. We have, as humans, we have the freedom to choose our response. So now we're teaching people the skills, the options that they have to respond to a certain situation. And then they need to acquire that skill. So I think that's the next step, is really controlling your emotions and your feelings. The step after that is visualization and manifesting, right? And that has all to do with meditation and mindful strategies that work for some people. And we got to figure out what works for a certain person. But we got all those brain waves, right? Alpha wave, beta wave, theta wave, delta wave. And during those certain states of mind, certain waves were more creative, other ones were more alert and more productive, and those types of things. So we need to really learn about those brain waves and learn how we as a person tap into those. And so we need to learn to put ourselves in certain brain waves and mindsets that are beneficial to perform a certain task, and so that would be the next step. After controlling emotions and feelings, we need to learn about brain waves and learn ways, whether it's meditation or visualization or binaural beats or music, whatever it is, to get into that brainwave or get into that zone. And then the last thing is manifesting. We all heard about manifesting, right? And so manifesting is also one of those things that really works. And I'm not necessarily talking about the secret, but I'm talking about really being in control of that, because it's not just wishing for something and then it will be there. No, it's manifesting it, but it also means you got to go to work, right? You got to go to work, but you got to manifesting it. And so people need to come to, and not just athletes, but entrepreneurs, anybody, you need to come to a point where there's no doubt in your mind that this dream is going to be realized. And that's not easy, but with all the steps I just mentioned, step by step, you're gonna do a lot of visualization. Every evening I visualize before I go to sleep my next day, and it's based on my calendar, so it's very organized, step by step. And during my visualization, I make the right choices. For example, lunch. I make a right choice while I'm thinking about it the day before. So then when the day comes and it's time for lunch, I'm going to have to make that right choice because I already visualized it. So visualization is a step. And then manifesting. Manifesting, you got to really come to a point where there's no doubt in your mind that you're going to be successful in what you're working on. And when there's no doubt in your mind, the universe has only one option, and that is success or a big win. But if you're only 90% convinced and sometimes you doubt yourself, then suddenly the universe has two options: success and failure. So we need to continue to work on our mind and make sure there's no doubt. And that's what I do as a coach. We take those hurdles. There's no doubt. There's, the end is in mind, and there's nothing distracting us, and we're focused. And when the mindset is there, then really there is no room for failure. And so that's kind of the steps that I take with my clients and mentees to really get the job done and succeed in things, because many times many people set their goals lower than they want to set them because they're afraid if they set them too high, they're going to fail and they're not going to be able to do it. So part of my first part in extracting that purpose of life is, no, we got to dream bigger than that, because if it's not big enough, you're not going to be passionate enough and we're going to fail. So let's set the bar a little bit higher here, so we're a little bit more excited than where you're setting the bar, because you're setting the bar based on past failures. That's why you're setting the bar so low. So that's part of that first part also. And then we start that mindset from the first time. We got to set that mindset right. We got to set those dreams big, and we got to get that mindset in that one direction where failure is never an option.
So, so, so good. Totally speaking my language. I wish we could carry on with this conversation. I want to just get so deep into it, because this is the stuff that helps people get from where they are to really, truly where they want to be. Since we don't have time, can you share with our listeners how they can connect with you?
Yes. The best place where everything is my website, which is biohackingunlimited.com, or MVT, which is my name, Mike Van Thielen, mvtonline.com, same website. So my books are there. My new book, The IZOD Method, will be there by the time you hear this. So that's, a good purchase where you have hundreds of tips and strategies on the things that we just talked about. Many techniques, many proven techniques that will help you with procrastination, focus, productivity, you name it. Everything about biohacking. There's also a 20-minute free Zoom call that you can schedule right on my website with me personally, where we can discuss where you are, what your dreams and goals are, and initiate a plan of action. You can browse to my mentorship programs. I have different mentorship programs. And what else? In February, so that's probably around the time of this video, I'm starting a 7-week IZOD method training online, which is very affordable, where people can join us and we go through those phases in detail, and we interact, mentor mentees, and make sure you all get a good start to this new year coming up here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Mike, for being with us, sharing so many powerful, powerful tips. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Alicia, for having me, and maybe we'll be on again.
That's right. And thank you to all of our listeners. You know we're doing this for you. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.